I was recently asked by the people from Classic Hand Tools UK near Ipswich in Suffolk to try some finishing oils that are coming from a company in Vietnam, the Lucero Wood Care Company, Elco, and they sent me a few little pots with different finishes to see what I thought. So I prepare your typical sample boards, test pieces. This is oak, cherry, walnut and Iroko. Iroko being quite an oily wood, so it would be quite interesting to see how these finishes behave with oily woods. I will be comparing it with Osmo Polyx oil and Liberon finishing oil. I know they are different products, they are different finishes, they use different ingredients, but these two are the ones that I use regularly in the workshop. So I'm quite interested to see how these new products compare with something that I use regularly. So all these samples are sanded to 240 grit. So what I do is I always wipe the piece with a damp cloth, let it dry and sand it again with 240. The idea of the damp cloth is to raise the fibers. So I sand everything to whatever grit I want. I vacuum clean it, I damp cloth, let it dry and then sand again with 240, which is in general the one I use for finishing. I don't tend to go over 240. I don't really see the necessity really. I suppose it depends on the type of wood you use, the color of the wood, the hardness of the wood, or what materials you're using, like metals or epoxies. Yeah, definitely go ahead and use a higher grit. But as for these sort of woods, I think 240 is perfectly acceptable. I'm guessing this is a touchy subject, but I always like to apply the oil across the grain first, or perhaps even in circular motion. I think that by going across the grain, you really push the oil inside the pores of the grain rather than carry it along. And also, because Osmo Polyx is a hardwax oil, it's important that you treat it as a wax. So you should create some friction in it's sort of to soften and to warm the oil, and it will penetrate better. And then you can finish in a smooth motion, making sure there are no streaks. So now I'm going to apply the Elco hard wax oil, which is called wax and polish, which is a bit confusing because wax and polish to me is a wax that you can use as a polish as well. But it's my understanding that it is a hard wax oil. It's not only wax. So I will do the same thing, shake it well, apply the oil across the grain, creating some friction, and then tidy up. This Lucero Company started in the late 60s in California as a family-run industrial paint finishing company, and in 2014 they moved to Vietnam and they started developing their hard wax tung oil. So all their products are made from tung oil, which they collect, they harvest and cold press. Environmentally, they are great. All their material waste is turned into compost. All wastewater is filtered and reused, and they are working on being certified as fair trade and using solar energy to power the factory. So I go across or even circular and then finish with a nice smooth, straight, even, continuous pass, wiping off the streaks. And if you had a bigger piece, I would go with a brush and then wipe it off with a clean cloth, and always finish in a nice straight line. Wiping off the excess. It's important to wipe off the excess. They have a simple website, very to the point and transparent in terms of the components they use to make their products. They claim to get their nuts 100% from sustainable, ethically sourced forest or jungle even, and they directly work with small farming indigenous communities. It is food safe for worktops and chopping boards and kitchen stuff. There it is child safe for toys, and it's safe for animals, and it's lead free, non-toxic. Then they don't use phthalates, and it's made from plant oils and organic earth pigments. So Osmo says 2 coats is enough, Liberon says 3 coats minimum, and Elco says 2 coats minimum. So I am going to do the minimum for all the samples and see how they work. Osmo Polyx dries in 8 to 10 hours, Liberon in 5 and Elco in 6 to 8 hours. But you know, then again, I never really pay attention to what the tin says in terms of drying time. I always like to do a first coat, leave it overnight, and when I come back in the morning, I deneve. Deneving is sort of a lazy light sanding with high grit sandpaper. So you can go up to 2000, but in general 400, 360, 320, even a worn 240 will work, as long as the key in deneving is not to apply too much pressure. So it's almost like a light wiping with sandpaper rather than scrubbing. So by deneving, you're creating a much smoother surface and giving a key to the next oil coat. So when you're using oils or water-based finishes, unavoidably it will raise the grain, it will raise the fibers, I mean, and that will make it feel really rough to the touch. Also, after you apply the oil, you will get dust particles, or any particles that falls there will make everything rougher. And by deneving, you're just cutting that surface off, getting rid of that roughness, and it will make it far smoother to the touch, and therefore making it much smoother for the next coat of oil. But also you can use this stuff. This is wire wool. It's just wire wool, but it's extra fine. Or it's called 4 zeros wire wool. I don't know why they put that name. But you can deneve with this stuff. So you can be a bit more rougher than the sandpaper, but always being careful not to apply too much pressure. And you can also apply wax with this wire wool. So instead of using a cloth, you put the wax here, and it's sort of at the same time as you're deneving, you're applying the wax. Very good stuff. So now I'm waiting for the first coat of oil to dry. I'm going to come back tomorrow morning and see how it's going. At the moment it's quite smelly in the workshop, it's quite stinky, but at the same time I have 7 different finishes on 4 different boards, so it's bound to be a bit smelly. But I'm keeping the room ventilated to reduce the VOC. VOC means something to do with the amount of solvents that they mix into the product for the solvents to dilute and dissolve the other ingredients and produce a chemical reaction for the product to work properly. So for example, quicker drying, easy application, the use of resins for the product to stick onto the surface you're applying into, and to make it more tough, more resistant to wear and tear, more durable. Without getting too technical about it, I'm sure I'm missing the main point of VOC, but that's my basic understanding. It's a bit confusing because not all VOCs are harmful, and Osmo and Elco hardwax oil claim to be very low VOC. There is no such thing as zero VOC. They might say it's zero VOC, but zero VOC is not possible. So it might be very, very low, but it's not zero. So Osmo and Elko hardwax oil claimed to be low VOC or very low VOC, while Liberon is classed as very high VOC. So you know, something to keep in mind. The Elko interior and Elko gloss are not low VOC, so I'm guessing it will be high-ish. But yeah, I know that the Elko does a tung oil, pure tung oil, and that is 0 VOC. So I'm finished with applying the oils, all the different oils for the different samples, the amount of coats that they recommend, the different brands. And now it's been curing for over a month actually. They usually recommend about 3 to 4 weeks for the finish to cure completely. It's not really a helpful time because whenever you finish a piece, especially on a kitchen worktop or things like that, to wait for a month is a long time. They do say you can use it, but very light use. For a kitchen worktop is a bit of a pain. But for one reason or another, I let this cure for nearly a month. In fact, a bit over a month. So it should be in perfect conditions for going to the next step of this whole video, which is doing some sort of stain tests. I'm going to put some red wine, orange juice and coffee. I'm just going to put a few drops of each and let it dry for, not let it dry, leave it on the samples for about half an hour, wipe it and see what happens. So I wiped everything, and by far the worst result was in Liberon finishing oil. You can see, especially on the wine, on oak, you can see there is a very visible stain, but also there is the coffee stain, slightly dark. It almost looks like greasy fingerprints. In fact, in all of the samples from Liberon. But you can really tell that there was a wine stain there was a wine spill. On the rest of the brands, there is an ever so slight fingerprints on the Osmo oils in all of the samples, especially the oak, while Lucero Company has nothing whatsoever. I wouldn't really bring it up if it wasn't that Lucero Company has nothing. So it feels a bit unfair to say that Osmo did as equal as Lucero Company, because there is this annoying fingerprints, which I'm guessing just by a lightly sand and re-oiling it would be fine. But then again, Lucero Company doesn't have anything whatsoever on the hardwax oil. I don't tend to do stain woods and things like that. I like the wood as in its natural form. But the white, vintage white, looks really nice. It's impressively good, I think. Yeah, very nice. All of the stains, the black one and the white, had actually more coats of oil, because you apply the stain, 2 coats minimum, and then they recommend that you apply Elko interior or Elko gloss on top of that, so 2 more coats. So in the end it has 4 coats of oil, while the other ones have only 2. But yeah, very nice. And that's it. In terms of finish, I think they're all really great. It's a bit disappointing, the Liberon finishing oil, how you end up with a very well marked thumbprint. but I always really like how it looks on a finished piece. It's just it doesn't really do well with spilling liquids. But the rest of the finishes are all really nice. There is the Liberon has always been the more glossy one. Osmo is a very ever so slightly more shiny, more glossy than the Lucero Company hardwax oil. The Elco gloss is I did apply 3 coats of Elco gloss, while the other one I only did the Elco interior I only did 2 coats. I did 3 coats on the Elco gloss because I thought it didn't really look glossy enough, so I put an extra one and it really brought it up to a glossy finish, which was quite an interesting thing because I recommend 2, but I didn't have any difference between normal and glossy oil. I thought I should mention by the end of the video that I am not getting anything from any of these companies. I'm not getting anything from Lucero Company, Osmo, and I'm definitely not getting anything from Liberon after this video. But in general, they're all really good products. They're all excellent in my views. That's why I've been using them for quite a while, apart from Lucero Company. Still, Osmo is one of my favorite ones. I also just bought a new 2.5 liters of Osmo Polyx oils. That was until Lucero Company came with this sort of, it did better than Osmo, I have to say. So it really is up to the price the difference in price between Osmo and hardwax oil. I think, in my view, I have changed already. I'm not using normal oils. I am using from now on hardwax oils. They're by far better, I think. So in the end, I think it all comes to the price of the products, because Osmo is very expensive, but it is very good, while Liberon is a lot cheaper, but it isn't as good as when it comes to use it on a surface that it might be liquid spilled. Elco Lucero Company, in all of their products, was really good. I really liked the hardwax oil. I don't know about the prices. I know they're being sold in USA, Australia and Vietnam, and that's why Classic Hand Tools were interested in becoming their agent in UK. So I'm not really sure if they have prices already, but it would be an interesting. What I do know is that it is supposed to be cheaper than Osmo, so I'm not sure how cheaper it would be. It would be interesting to find that out. I really like hardwax oil, the Elco hardwax oil. They use tung oil, which is known for being, it gives a deeper color. It's really durable. It's really nice product. In terms of drying, they all dry pretty much the same time. There are many differences in the amount of coats that you need to put, and the finishes are all great, really nice. It's up to you, really. So I hope you found the video interesting in any way. If you have the chance to use these products and you have different results, it would be interesting to see what results you had. This is the type of these are the types of wood that I would tend to use in general, but if you're using different woods, it would be nice to see which product you like the most. So that's it. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next video. Thank you.